Hi everyone, I'm Saldalia, Senior Video Producer with Adorama TV. The wait is over. Last night I met up with photographer Dave Krugman and we walked around New York City testing out the video capabilities in this camera. If you want to watch the full short movie, it's gonna be also live on this channel right now. Here in this video, we're gonna break down all the new specs about this camera and I'm gonna show you a few of the clips that I took last night. Today with us is one of the experts about this camera, Michael Bubolo from Sony. So Michael, give us an overview of what's new and exciting about this camera.
So the Alpha 7S Mark III really is a revolution for the Sony Alpha lineup because this is the future of Alpha. There's a lot of new technology on this camera that when you look at the camera, even though it looks like an Alpha 7R Mark IV, it looks like an Alpha 9 Mark II, it's completely new from the inside out. Everything on the camera is purpose-built for a certain customer in mind. So for the last 5 years, we've been talking to videographers, we've been talking to creators, we've been talking to still photographers and DPs, and we've been using the prowess that we have with the Venice, we've been using the prowess that we have with the FX9, and we've been taking all that feedback and put it into this camera. The thread of this camera is uncompromised, right? So we have 4K 120p and it's 10-bit 422 with full autofocus, full control, and without compromise. So every frame rate is full pixel readout in 4K, and we have 240 in HD. We have 16-bit raw output, all while recording 4K 120 on the card itself. And we have the world's fastest video autofocusing performance in camera as well. And of course, in true S fashion, it's the best high ISO performance of any camera ever made. It actually dethrones the Alpha 7S Mark II that it is somewhat replacing.
So I'm showing now the side of the camera, and as you can see, there is a regular HDMI. Now, it's not micro anymore.
Yeah, full-size HDMI. Videographers rejoice. Not only is it more durable, it has a very high throughput, but it's just accessible. So you can just, if you're out in the field and you're shooting and you need a new cord, you need a new cable, you can just go out and get it. Other really strong features from a video standpoint, it's the first time in Alpha history that we've done 10-bit 422 internal in all recording modes. It's the first time we've done all intra in all recording modes inside the camera. And beyond that, 759 phase detection autofocusing points that has pupil autofocus, it has subject recognition with artificial intelligence in video and in stills. It's just absolutely incredible the amount of features that we put in this camera, and it's all possible not just because of the brand new imaging sensor designed for 4K, but it's also because of our new BIONZ XR processing engine that gives us the ability to process information 8 times faster than we've ever been able to do in any camera that we've come out with on the ILC Alpha line. But we do have 2 CF Express Type A cards in the camera, giving us the ability, again, without compromise, being able to shoot redundantly to both memory card slots at the same time. Because when you have one card that's powerful and one card that's a little bit slower, you can't shoot redundantly. And in a professional workflow, you need to be able to have a backup of your equipment. So you're automatically handicapping the camera to the lesser evil, which is that slower card. So to be able to have 2 CF Express Type A cards at 800 megabits per second. Side-mounted LCD screen that's also touch capable, so you can do full touch control with that side-mounted LCD screen. So for the high-end vlogger, or if you're shooting cinema or you're shooting video, you can put it in unique places like against the wall, against the dashboard and the windshield, and you can be able to see what the video is recording, which is pretty incredible. And now that you flip that screen out, you can also, you might not be able to see it, but you can probably feel it. The materials in the back of the camera, even though we have the same ruggedness of the camera and the same weather sealing that we've had on the Alpha 9 Mark II and Alpha 7R Mark IV, the heat sink in the camera is not just about the heat sink in the camera, it's also about the materials, the high-end materials we put on the camera to be able to dissipate that heat. And as I'm sure now that you've tested the camera, you can see you can get 4K 60p at up to over an hour long. An hour is very, very, very conservative. In my own tests, I was able to get way higher than that and then be able to keep recording. So it's pretty incredible. And that whole heatsink is done without a fan. So it makes a big difference. And you really want to be able to use an internal microphone in this camera because it now has the capability of doing full 4-channel, 24-bit uncompressed linear PCM through our XLR K3M, which is ridiculous. So not only are you getting 16-bit video out of the HDMI or 10-bit internal, you have the capability of doing 24-bit uncompressed audio as well. So it's truly a professional image quality.
Another, I think, major revolution in the Sony world is like a whole new menu. You know, it's a touch screen. It's very intuitive. It also changes based on the mode that you're shooting with. You know, I've been, a Sony user for a few years now, but many people that were approaching for the first time, they were kind of like getting lost in that menu. And this is a big change.
It's huge. And again, we create cameras, and luckily we have the background that since 2015, when we introduced the Alpha 7S Mark II, we've introduced the Venice, we've introduced the FX9, we've introduced multiple Alpha cameras, and we listened to that customer base, those high-end cinema photographers. We've listened to that high-end customer base of even the still photographers, and we've been creating this new menu for a really long time. And like you said, now it's vertically laid out, and you can see 3 layers deep. So you can see the subject, the folder, and what's in it. And I think the most impressive part that you talked about is not only did we move things to where it makes more sense to where things should be, but when you're in video mode, it's a video-centric menu. When you're in stills mode, it's a still-centric menu. We try to make the hardware be invisible, so to speak. We want you to be able to use autofocus that works down to -6 CV. We want you to be able to get in and change your settings immediately. We don't want you to have to worry about manipulating that hardware to get what you want. We want you to worry about creativity, making that image, making that video, and just getting the best possible quality that you can get.
So another thing, this camera I think is keeping up with the legacy of the S series in a way that it's the new probably low light monster on the market. One thing that I tried last night and that I was very impressed with is that I was shooting at night 4K slow motion. So that's something that I wasn't able to do before. Slow motion was always going to be noisy, noisy footage. So, but last night I was able to shoot these guys, with a skateboard in 4K, 120 frame, without any problem and without any noise.
It's crazy. I mean, obviously I think the king of the hill when it came to high ISO performance in videos and stills was the Alpha 7S Mark II. The Alpha 7 Mark III does a really amazing job, but now this is the new king of the hill, as you saw. So we're getting a 1 to 2 stops better high ISO performance than we even had with the Alpha 7S Mark II. It's not just about that high ISO performance, it's not just about noise. Everyone always concentrates on the noise, but one thing that we've really done on this camera, again, to bring it towards our cinema heritage, is that we've taken the color science from the Venice, we've taken the color science from the FX9, and brought that into this camera. So it's not just about the noise, it's about the color reproduction, it's about having accurate colors, it's about having better sharpness reproduction at those high ISOs. Things that usually separated those higher end cameras from these cameras is that even though you could use it, they both have S-Log3, they sometimes just wouldn't really match. And it wasn't just the 10-bit, it was the color science behind it and the color engine. And we've taken that information and we've taken those learnings from the cinema group and we've brought it into this camera where we're really working together to give you that best image quality. But also it's got the world's best viewfinder. And what's incredible about it is that it's not just because of the fact that it's 9.44 million dots, but it gives us the largest angle of view at 41 degrees. And it's just really an immersive experience. The best electronic viewfinder that we've ever made. It's the best electronic viewfinder in the business. And it just gives you that really immersive experience. And on top of all that, we have some of the best connectivity and wireless control of any of the cameras that are out there right now, because this camera has the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. It's got that super USB port, which is capable of doing 5 gigabits per second, meaning you can use a third-party adapter to connect Ethernet and have the same FTP control that you'd have on the Alpha 9 Mark II, which is pretty incredible. So I'm just excited, as I'm sure you are too.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely excited about this. Thank you so much, Michael. And thank you guys for watching. In a few days, we're gonna publish a music video shot with this camera and the behind the scene. So please subscribe and I'll see you next time.